Good morning. Welcome to Monday morning and coffee and the Word. And if ever there is a day that you need coffee and the Word, it's Monday morning, right? So they just go together perfectly. And Tuesday's just about the same. So we'll plan on this tomorrow too. We're in First Corinthians, the third chapter this morning. We're going to be beginning the third chapter this morning, and we ended up chapter 2 there's Saturday, and talking about the natural man versus the spiritual man, and the spiritual man that we should be. And now Paul's going to go on and talk to us a little more about how we should be maturing as Christians. So let's pick up 1 Corinthians chapter 3. And I, brethren, could not speak to you as to spiritual men, but as to men of flesh, as to infants in Christ. I gave you milk to drink, not solid food, for you are not yet able to receive it. Indeed, even now you are not yet able, for you are still fleshly. For since there is jealousy and strife among you, are you not fleshly, and are you not walking like mere men? For when one says, I am of Paul, and another, I am of Apollos, are you not mere men? And remember, this is where we started in the book, was with these factions that were starting inside the church there at Corinth. That one was saying they were a disciple of Apollos, one saying they were a disciple of Paul, others claiming rightfully to be disciples of Christ, and Paul saying that you all need to be followers, Christ followers. And he's going to get back to that point again here. Now he starts off with this language about that I couldn't even talk to you in spiritual terms when we started because you were so fleshly and you were like little babes that I was trying to teach things, and in order to nourish a little babe, we give them milk. We can't give them a steak when they don't have any teeth and they can't figure out how to chew it and they're going to choke on it. And that's kind of what Paul's saying. I can't give you some of the weighty things of God to start with. You won't be able to chew it up. You'll never get it swallowed. You're going to choke on it, and it's not going to nourish you. You need to start with, as he said back here in chapter 2, with Jesus Christ and Him crucified. We need to really get solid on that, to really get filled up with Jesus Christ crucified and get our head around that Jesus came for us and died for us, and this was God's plan to save us. Then maybe we can move on to other things. But he says, you still need to, right now, you still need some milk, because you're proving it that you're not mature because you're arguing about these things. Apollos, Paul, Apollos, Paul. Doesn't that show that you're fleshly? And Paul, I think, is just going to point out to us here that we've got to be moving beyond that baby stage. We can't just be a baby coming to church on Sunday morning and crying to be fed, uh, crying to be changed. You know what I'm saying? You have to, at some point, start to be church and show Jesus to others, and develop in your relationship with Him where you're not, and we're actually going to talk about this quite a bit in April in church. But so if you guys listening here get a repeat, we have to come to that point where we no longer come to church, but we are church, where we start being church. And Paul says it's time for you guys to grow up, quit sipping on your sippy cup, and move on to steaks. Verse 5, what then is Apollos and what is Paul? Servants, through whom you believed, even as the Lord gave opportunity to each one. I planted, Apollos watered, but God was causing the growth. So then neither the one who plants nor the one who waters is anything, but God who causes the growth. Now he who plants and he who waters are one, but each will receive his own reward and according to his own labor. For we are God's fellow workers. You are God's field, God's building. Paul points out to us that what Apollos did and what Paul did were equally important, the watering, the planting and the watering, but they mean nothing without God and without God causing the increase. Take this into physical thoughts about planting seeds. Uh, we can put a little seed and take it and put it in the ground. We know how to do that, but we have no way of knowing whether it's going to grow, and we don't even really understand why it grows. The ground, we can scientifically study it, but how did that all come about? How does this seed suddenly know to lay dormant, and then when you put it in the ground to sprout to life by the warmth of the earth? Somebody controlled that. And people that look at the world and take for granted that there was no divine design are just, I can't, I'm sorry, they're crazy. I mean, it's such a stretch of the imagination to think that this just all happened without divine design. And then, of course, the water. Well, we know that the rains come and make things grow, and it's just natural process. Is it? How is it that the world ended up designed where it's so dependent on water? We have to have water. Plants have to have water. Animals have to have water. Who designed all that? Who made that to be the stimulus that would make things grow? God did. God made the water to act like it does to bring nutrition. He could have chosen any other thing he wanted to. But we as scientists have it figured out. Sorry. I just get a little frustrated sometimes with people who can't see God in nature. Maybe they don't see God in us because we're not growing past the milk stage and reflecting Jesus like we should, but they ought to see God in nature. And even Romans teaches us that no man is with excuse because they can see the attributes of God in the world around them. So it goes on and says that, neither the one who plants or the ones that waters are really anything except servants, obedient servants, because it's God who's causing the growth, and God is the one that we need to be given credit to. So then we need to be not followers of Apollos or not followers of Paul, but rather followers of Christ God. And just pointing that out to them. I love this verse 9. He says, "For we are God's fellow workers," he and Apollos, "but you," my audience I'm writing to, "you are God's field and God's building." You're what God's working on. God's working to build you up and to make you grow, to make you into what he planned for you to be, to fulfill what he planned for you to be. It's all there. The making's all there. God put it in us. It's just us recognizing it and accepting it. And God's going to cause that growth in us so that we can start to chew on a steak instead of just drinking milk all the time. "According to the grace of God which is given to me, like a wise master builder, I laid a foundation, and another is building on it. But each man must be careful how he builds on it. For no man can lay a foundation other than the one which is laid, which is Jesus Christ." Now, he points out here that, God gave him, as a master builder, gave him a plan so he could lay a foundation for the growth of the people there at the church at Corinth. And he said others, Apollos, laid on top of that. But he laid on the same foundation, and they built up and built up and built up. If you lay a rectangular foundation, and the next guy up tries to build circular walls on the rectangular foundation, it's not going to work quite right. You know, the foundation has to be right to start with, and you can't change, and you can't come in and say, well, I'm going to lay another foundation over here beside Jesus' foundation. I'll lay another foundation and I'll start on that. And there's teachers who want to do that. They want to bring themselves alongside of Jesus instead of stacking themselves on top of the foundation of the message of Jesus Christ. They want to lay their message off on the side of Jesus Christ and consider themselves as equals with Jesus Christ. Many of the modern religions, if you will, that have sprung up are that way, where men have decided that they had this new revelation that they want to lay beside Jesus' foundation, rather than building on the foundation of Jesus Christ. We have to be very careful not to get prideful and think that there's something new that we've suddenly got. You know, really, Solomon makes it pretty clear to us that there's really nothing new. When I look and I try to prepare sermons, there's really nothing new. The only thing that's new is it can be my approach to try to explain the word with different illustrations than someone else has done, but the word is the same. I have to build on the same foundation. I can't suddenly decide that, you know, Jesus' teachings was good, but I'm going to add this over here, and because I add this, that's going to make our church grow because it gives us a little niche that nobody else has. That's not you know, that's not maturing. That's growing away from God. Let's read on here. Got to make sure we're on Jesus' foundation. Where am I at here? I got to get hustling here. Verse 12. Now, if any man builds on the foundation with gold, silver, precious stone, wood, hay, straw, each man's work will become evident, for the day will show it, because it is to be revealed with fire, and the fire itself will test the quality of each man's work. If any man's work which he has built on it remains, he will receive a reward. If any man's work is burned up, he will suffer loss, but he himself will be saved, yet so as through fire. Interesting section of verses here when it talks about building upon that foundation. He starts off with these precious metals. You know, if you build on it with gold and silver, which is precious, pure metals, or precious stones, which we get a lot of descriptions of precious stones in the description of heaven, or if you build on it with wood or hay or straw, your work's going to become evident. In other words, the quality of your work that you've done to build upon the foundation of Christ are going to be evident. And if you didn't build anything that was really built to last, it's going to be evident, and it's going to burn away. The gold and the silver and the precious stones are things that might last, but you know it doesn't take near as much heat to burn up straw and hay and even wood. So if any man's work remains, in other words, if it's one of those things that showed its the same foundation that it was laid upon, the same characteristics of the foundation of Jesus, it's going to remain. But the ones who built works out of straw and really didn't put anything into it, you know, kind of try to cheapen their effort, if you will, that's going to burn up. If any man's work which he has built on it remains, he will receive a reward. If any man's work is burned up, he will suffer loss, but he himself will be saved, yet as through fire. This is a very interesting passage here. You'll still be saved, yet as through fire. And in fact, it's so interesting. I see as we're running out of time, we're going to pick up here again tomorrow. We're going to pick up with probably this whole section here again, maybe verse 13, and go on and look at how we can be saved, but yet our work burned up. Curious thought. Let me think about that. Now, we'll look at this a little bit tomorrow. We're running out of time. I apologize. Enjoyed being with you guys this morning. Hey, really ask you, I hear from time to time some of you say, well, you know, I so enjoy your day, or I so enjoy your coffee and the Word as part of my day. But here's the thing. I spend a couple hours getting this done and put on the air and out to you on Facebook and YouTube, and really like to hear some feedback. And I'm running out of time here, but just click a little like on Facebook and let me know. See you later. Grab some coffee.